welcome back to Luna the Book Moth. This is Chapter 12 of Mornstar the Maiden Voyage. If you like what you see, please do consider like and subscribing, and please don't re-upload my stuff. And without further ado, let's begin. Chapter 12. Dillon was in trouble. It had been a few days since he had split from Dawn, and was missing her greatly. He had gone wandering, following the setting sun as always, trying to catch up to her. He had mounted a hill and saw a brilliant light shimmering from the field before him. He had run to meet what he thought was Dawn. He was very rash in doing this, as this light was not Dawn, but instead a herd of black creatures he had never seen before. They were built as ox, but with shining silver horns reaching like gilded trees toward the sky. They were eating grass peacefully until Dillon came running among them. He stopped and looked at them in interest, but this peace was not to last. The beasts studied him carefully with eyes coated in silver. One beast let out a cold and pawed the ground. His silver horns almost touched the ground, and the silver lacing that connected them rattled as he swung his head. A chill was in the air, and the whole herd turned against him. He backed away slowly, but the beasts showed signs of stampeding. The big beast let out another cry and charged. It was not apparent because of their long, silky hair, but as they ran, you could see that their hooves were also silver. Dillon made this observation whilst he was running for his life, as well as another. As the beasts were running, if you looked behind them, you could see a trail of thin frost. Because of this, Dillon deemed them frost horns after this encounter. He had paused for breath when he had outrun the frost horns. When he looked around, however, he could not tell where he was. A dark pine forest was at his left and curved around to his front. The field continued to his right until cut off by this forest. The setting sun was behind him, as was the rest of the field with the frost horns. His brow was sweating as he eyed the cover of the pines. He had made up his mind to race the other way past the frost horns, when his hand began to glow. "Oh no," he moaned just before his hand whisked him off into the pine forest. The pine boughs were thick with needles. Dillon was pulled along through them with no attempt at struggling. His face and arm was scratched, and his hair caught bountiful plenties of pine needles. By the time his hand was done tugging, his face had a pine needle beard, and his hair was a nest of them. With his hand finally free, he scraped the needles from his face and tugged them from his hair. He shook the remainder off like a dog and smoothed his hair back and out of his face. "Now where am I?" he muttered to himself while looking around. "There's nothing here. Is the thing broken or what?" He shook his hand. A deep note began to tremor within the forest. What could that be? His hand began to glow at its sound, and he followed it. The pine trees became bigger and gnarled as he followed the sound. If one would look up here, they would see but a tiny patch of sky growing in between the higher boughs. All silence fell upon these woods, like a soft blanket of nothingness. Cold was the breeze that penetrated this blanket of silence that was the sound. Deeper in and deeper gained, seeming to go on forever, Dillon was forced to stop. The sound began to swell with an eerie trill, louder, louder, almost bursting the air. The cold breeze had become a terrible storm, and threw back the covers of silence. Dillon placed his hands over his ears and sat for a moment on the rock in his path. The sound was so excruciating that he rocked himself and squeezed his eyes shut. The sound swelled to a highest point and suddenly succumbed to the blanket of silence once again. Dillon removed his hands from his ears and looked around. He was afraid of the noise. His heartbeat was in his ears, and his breathing could not be steadied as he pleaded that the sound would not return. As he began to think that it would not, a whisper came to his ear. A dark whisper, a cold whisper. "Yes, succumb to my power. If only a sound can frighten you, then I fear what you can ever do to oppose me, child." The whisper was very near and undesirable. Dillon could not speak for fear of this voice, but swallowed and had enough desire to say, rather hoarsely, "Who are you?" He licked his lips, as it seemed fear had driven all moisture from him and prevented his speaking more than this.
"I am everything you fear the most. I have granted boundless power to many. I have helped to destroy this world, and yet it has not crumbled. With my power, you too could be almighty. Nothing you fear could hurt you. Nothing could stand in your way."
The whisper returned. Dillon's eyes were big and round like dinner plates. He clapped his hands over his ears.
"Come now, there is nothing to be afeared of. Dear child, sweet child, I know there had been a time, perhaps many, where you wanted to save people, help something, but you were too weak, too small to do anything about it. Together, just think, imagine, together, we could do much more. There would be no more standing on the sidelines watching disaster happen. With my help, you could be a hero."
The whisper was heard loud and clear through his hands. It penetrated his mind, and he was cursed with memories that had plagued him so long. Fire, smoke, a burning sky, a time when he wished with all his might that he could have done something, and times where he did do something but still ended up being saved. Falling, but a soft light saved him. The whole of this time he had been useless, just a burden. What good was a protector if they were the ones being saved?
"You see my point. Come with me, and I will grant you the power to save. You will never feel small again."
His hands left his head. He rose from the ground. Head hung, a few tears managed to drip from his eyes to the grass below. "I'm sorry, Dawn," he whispered. Then he followed the voice deeper into the forest. He came deeper and deeper until a steady mist that was building up made it almost impossible to see. It was a dark mist. He trusted this voice to guide him through, and it did. Through the dark mist emerged the tomb. It had script in Starly, but he couldn't read it, so just went inside. If Dawn had been there, she would have known it to say, "The curse of the powerful lurks within. Without sacred light its deal shall begin." A current of air swept across the tomb floor and gathered around yet another stone tablet.
"Go ahead. You know what must be done."
"A curse," Dillon breathed. His hand was still glowing by his side, but he had paid no attention to it. Was he going to die, consumed by a curse?
"Take no heed of your fears, child, for I will make them all go away."
Against his will, he found his legs moving him toward the stone tablet. He held his hand up, clenching his teeth and shutting his eyes. He braced for impact. "Yes! Yes! I am free!" boomed the almighty voice. A white mass of smoke poured from the stone and gathered around Dillon. It took the shape of an arm and held him up by his collar. "I'm going to make you a deal. You freed me. You get to walk free. Got it?" "But no, you said you would make me powerful." "Anything to be free, child." "You lied!" "Curse of power, curse of lies. I've the power of the heavens themselves. I certainly have power over you. Therefore, if I say you can go free, you go without question. If I say you must die to satisfy my hunger, then you give yourself up without struggle." "No, you're coming with me and we're going to find Dawn." The white smoke dropped him and laughed. "And what, pray tell, can a child do to enslave me?" At this moment a light shone from behind Dillon. The smoke screamed a great wispy scream, like a steam engine, and was pulled into the mark. "No! No! I am power! I am strength!" The curse was swiftly dealt with. He turned around to thank whoever shone the light, but no one was there. The tomb was empty.